Book then, the battered, the frozen, the battered few on the top. No man's land here, folks. Oh, Lord! Crashing and burning, suplexing. And now, will that move finally be Cody?
You don't think. He can't. There's no way. There's no way Goldberg's going to be able to do this to The Undertaker.
No way!
Oh, my God! Goldberg wanted the jackhammer.
You know, leave it to WWE to get my lazy ass out of retirement to do another video. I started my show back in January of 2010. My first two episodes were WWE PG Parts 1 and Parts 2. Because 2010, to me, was the worst year in WWE history. That's just how I personally feel. Because I didn't stop being a pro wrestling fan, I stopped being a WWE fan. Because the product sucked. The only thing that I remember about 2010 is Shawn Michaels' Undertaker 2 in the main event of WrestleMania 26. And that's it. Like, I know now what happened during that year. I looked it up. I can do the Wikipedia. But I didn't watch it. And I really haven't watched it. I know CM Punk had the Straight Edge Society, and that was awesome, and it was a lot of fun to catch up on that and watch all of that, but it was underutilized in WWE. I think anything good that happened during that year, they tried to bury, or they just kind of ignored it. Probably because it wasn't their creation, and it was a creation of the wrestler themselves. Now, why am I bringing this up? Like I said, I retired. I did my last video 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I don't remember. And I put this thing away. Doesn't mean I've stopped watching wrestling. Doesn't mean that I'm not still a huge fan of wrestling. It's my favorite thing ever. I am the wrestling fan for a reason. I've enjoyed a lot of what WWE has put out since then. I've also been able to experience a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and recently, a little company called AEW All Elite Wrestling. I watched AEW Double or Nothing. I was lucky enough to be able to do that. And it was amazing. Made me remember why I was a pro wrestling fan. Same as New Japan Pro Wrestling did last year. And the year before that, especially with the matches between Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. Probably pronouncing that wrong, but hell, I gave it my best shot. And New Japan, not just with their world title scene, but their tag title scene, their intercontinental title scene, their United States Championship title scene, their not light heavyweight scene, but like junior heavyweight scene. New Japan Pro Wrestling is awesome. And it was great to have some gaijin, I know some wrestling terms too, in New Japan. For those of you who don't know, for some reason, if you're watching this and don't know, it's Americans or just like non-Japanese wrestlers. Of course, Kenny Omega's Canadian. But Canadian American wrestlers, the Young Bucks over there, Cody, the Bullet Club, all that good stuff. I love the Japanese wrestlers, but I'll admit it's nice to have some American wrestlers or even Canadian wrestlers over there for me to kind of relate to a little bit more. Well, they broke off, and they decided to open up their own company in America called All Elite Wrestling AEW. And I believe that announcement was in January of this year. And they got Kenny Omega because everyone thought he'd probably go to WWE, and I was just like, I don't want him in WWE. Because last year, and especially this year, WWE has sucked. Sucked so many balls. And there's no problem. There's no issue with sucking balls. If you're a ball sucker, be a ball sucker. I can't do it. I'm impressed with anyone who can put a pair of balls in their mouth and go blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. You know, it's great. Keep doing you. Keep doing them balls. But these balls that WWE keep putting in their mouths are sweaty, gross, disease-ridden. This is getting disgusting, but the point is, they're awful. WWE Raw and SmackDown has been unwatchable. For a year and a half, I've barely watched it. And now, I can barely bring myself to read results. Because it's always so horrible. WWE right now has the most talent I have really ever seen them have. And they don't know what to do with them. They care about Brock Lesnar. They care about Roman Reigns. They care about Seth Rollins. They care about Shane. They care about Shane fucking McMahon, who's their biggest villain right now. Think about that. Shane McMahon, almost 50 years old, is their biggest villain with all the talent they have. And all that talent that made names for themselves in NXT, proved themselves, and are on the main roster right now. Shane is one of the biggest stars they have. 2 members of the Shield, because one guy, I really don't know his name. He showed up at AEW, you know, didn't really get a reaction or anything, so I don't know. But 2 members of the Shield, a part-timer, and the son of the owner of the company. And then Becky Lynch. She is one of their biggest stars, rightfully so. She earned it. It was organic. And that's a big problem. If I can focus on WWE for a second, I'll get back to AEW, because it's connected in this. And I really don't know where all this is going. I'm just kind of shooting from the hip. It's a shoot. Because I love WWE. I love the WWF. I've even learned to grow... I've grown... I also love the WWF, even though it was, you know, before I was even born. But you can watch it now on the WWE Network. $9.99. I will always love the WWE. I will always love the WWF. And I love the WWE Network. I've had it since the very beginning, since the first day you could have it, and I haven't missed a month since. Because it has so much history on that network. Not just WWE, but of WCW and ECW and AWA and NWA and Jim Crockett Promotions and all this stuff. Mid-South and just all this amazing stuff. And they'll probably get even more. And that's important to have that catalog of wrestling history. Just to go online and be able to look up whatever you want. That's amazing. And I have. And a lot of people have too. But it's not like I'm going there to watch the new product at all. Because it is fucking atrocious. There have been high points. There are always high points. This year alone, the whole Kofi Kingston storyline, him winning the title, him and Daniel Bryan had the best match at WrestleMania 35. And WrestleMania 35 was actually a pretty solid show top to bottom. And then the whole Becky Lynch thing has been awesome. With Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. Minus some horrible storytelling moments, some bumps in the road, because either their writers really don't know what they're doing when it comes to pro wrestling, or Vince McMahon is ruining everything. And I'll get to him. Actually, no, I'll get to him now. Because you know what my biggest fucking problem with this company is that it's still all about the McMahon family. Have you noticed that every time something awesome happens, like Becky Lynch or Kofi Kingston organically becoming the most popular part of their programs, there's suddenly a McMahon there to be a part of it. Stephanie McMahon was all of a sudden a part of the storyline, and it didn't last, but all of a sudden she's a part of the storyline with Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. Why? This isn't about you at all. And stop acting like, you had anything to do with the fucking women's revolution. Stop. I'm not behind the scenes. I'm not with that company. I'm sure you got behind it when it started making you money. But please, it's fake and everybody can tell. It's fake. And then with Kofi Kingston, granted it made sense because they were making Kofi like how Daniel Bryan was 4 or 5 years ago, calling Kofi a B+ player and all this other stuff. I thought that was really awesome and it made sense with the story. But all of a sudden, here comes Vince McMahon out to be a part of the storyline, which, yeah, I guess it kind of made sense, but there was no payoff to it. There was absolutely no fucking payoff. Like, Kofi did all this stuff, which was great, and Vince is like, okay, he's in WrestleMania. Which, okay, he gave in, but then after Kofi won the title, he's nothing's happened. Even with Shane. And don't get me started on that. I was happy when Shane came back. That was one of the top moments in the last couple years. When Shane came back, that pop he got, the thing with Undertaker was fucking stupid, but him as general manager was a lot of fun. Him and Daniel Bryan together was fun, and it was great to see him get in the ring every now and then. It was a special attraction. His rivalry with AJ Styles was pretty cool, and he's had some good matches. I won't say wrestling matches. He's had some good car crash matches. It's been fun. Shane McMahon was always fun. And I was cool with his heel turn because I thought it would do really good for Miz, and it did turn Miz into a good guy, which I did not think was possible. And then Miz won at WrestleMania. Okay. And then Miz beat Shane again. Okay. I mean, I'm guessing there's going to be some other kind of payoff, another match or something eventually, but it's completely buried The Miz, one of your most talented, versatile freaking wrestlers, and you have ruined him. He was on a roll as a heel last year, and then you turned him into a babyface, and he was on a roll with that, and then nothing. He just keeps doing Miz TVs with Shane and gets beat up and loses matches. Great. And that's a big problem. And Triple H is in this too. He keeps having matches. Him and Batista was like a flagship match at WrestleMania. His match was above Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan. And the match with him and Batista only had like 4 weeks built. Now, granted, maybe it was better that way. That Kofi and Daniel Bryan were in kind of the middle of the card, and it stole the show and kind of tired the crowd out. But maybe they were trying to keep it as far away from the main event as they could. I don't know. And once again, Triple H has the longest match at WrestleMania. Look back since like WrestleMania, I don't know, 18? Maybe 17? Not 17. I think 18. Or, I don't know. It's been almost 15, 16 years of this. Either Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, or Triple H have all had the longest match at a WrestleMania. It's mainly been Triple H. And I don't give a shit if it's just by a few seconds. It speaks volumes that Triple H is still the best damn wrestler in the company, even at 50 years old. I don't think so. I don't think so. WWE is all about Vince, Shane, Stephanie, and Triple H. That's how it feels. And you are burying so much talent. So much. And not to rag on Triple H too much, because NXT is the only good thing going in WWE. And that includes NXT UK as well. Thank God for NXT and their takeovers. And what's the one difference in that? Neither Shane, Stephanie, or Vince has anything to do with it. Huh. What a weird coincidence. There are still high points sometimes, but last year was god-awful. This year has been god-awful. There's always some good points, and I'll look up results and the grades of pay-per-views from people who basically kind of do what I used to do in a sense, but better. Because I don't think I could watch all this WWE like they are without, I don't know, hanging myself. If I watch WWE all the time now, I mean, thank God I don't own a gun, because if I did and watched WWE all the time, I probably wouldn't be doing this video. Because it's really gotten that bad. And now they have this big deal with Fox to air SmackDown, and they want certain ratings, and even after AEW Double or Nothing, the whole world is talking about this little startup promotion right now. They have the whole wrestling world talking. It's on fire. They are the most popular company in the world right now, in a sense, and they've only had one pay-per-view. Their TV show doesn't even start till the fall, which, God, I can't wait. Because I'm sick of WWE not making wrestling fun for the fans anymore. With all the talent you have, there is no excuse for you to not have a fun product. Even during the Attitude Era, which everyone talks about, bring back the Attitude Era. No, it wouldn't work again. But why people look so positively at the Attitude Era was because you really felt every week anything and everything could happen. And even the bad stuff, the cringy stuff, could still be fun. And at least you were making an effort to do something different. You were doing the same shit all the time. NXT has amazing rivalries, amazing wrestlers, amazing characters. They put on amazing pay-per-views, amazing TV shows. And you bring these people up to the main roster and you destroy them. I mean, absolutely murder them. Make them look like fools. What has Bobby Roode been doing since he came to the main roster? Apollo Crews. Ty Dillinger, and now he's in AEW, thank God. Who else? Ember Moon. Where the hell is she? All the tag teams that have come from NXT to the main roster. Wasted. I'm a wrestling fan, and I want to see what's best for these wrestlers who have earned it, who are great. And you get behind these certain people. I got nothing against Roman Reigns. I think he's a talented guy. I think he's great. And he should be one of the flagships of the company. But the years you spent forcing him down everybody's throats is finally coming back to bite you in the ass. I think that hurt business in the long run because you decided to not really push anybody else. And now it's not too late, but it's crippling your company. And then you finally have these moments with Kofi and Seth Rollins, and they have these great matches at WrestleMania, and these moments, and then you have nothing for them afterward. There's no long-term planning anymore. What happened to that? Wrestling is all about the long term. And you guys, you can't write a wrestling program anymore. Oh, it's sports entertainment. Well, you used to be able to write a sports entertainment show as well. And now you can't. Wrestling is still a part of the name of your company. It's World Wrestling Entertainment. Wrestling Entertainment. Well, you're not giving us either, are you? Either. We don't get any wrestling from you, and we're definitely not entertained. Are you not entertained? I'm not. And it's irritating because you own the wrestling world in a sense. And now wrestlers want to leave your company after achieving their dream of getting to WWE, and they want out. They want out. It's not all about money for the people who are truly passionate about being a professional wrestler. Jon Moxley, that nobody who's in AEW now, that's why he left, because you were killing his passion. I just watched an interview with Dustin Runnels about how WWE killed his passion. It was a prison. You're making people feel like they're in a prison, hate their jobs, and hate wrestling. That's what you want to be? All because you want to put the same people over every single week. It's about Brock Lesnar, it's about Roman Reigns, it's about, that's it. And screw everybody else. And when John Cena comes back, let him bury some talent. When Undertaker comes back, let him bury some talent. And the reason why I'm doing this, because this is just a one-off video. Right when I turn this camera off, this thing's coming back off. and I will sit here patiently waiting for AEW. And I got to catch up on some New Japan Pro Wrestling I missed over the weekend. And I will still be a fan. But not of WWE. Because it's not about wrestling, it's not about entertainment, it's about putting the same people over and over and over and over and over. And it's sickening, and it's pathetic. And the reason why this video came about is because I tried to watch Super Showdown. And I know that those pay-per-views don't really mean anything, and it's really not me criticizing Saudi Arabia. I'm not getting into any of that. I think the deal was gross with WWE, but that's all I'm going to say. I tried to watch it. It was just awful. Just awful. It's terrible. And then the main event happened. I wanted to see it, even if it was just a 2 or 3 minute squash match. Undertaker Goldberg, first time ever. It's like a video game. Like, cool, we got it. They're both 50, but they could probably last at least 5 minutes. I'm not going to make fun of either guy. I think it's kind of gross that people are making fun of both men, or especially Goldberg. He knocked himself out, bled the hard way, and was not the same. And then Undertaker dropped Goldberg on his head, and I thank God Goldberg, as far as I know, didn't sustain a neck injury. And also from what I've read too, that was also Goldberg's fault because he was concussed and he let go, and then they tried to do some other stuff and it looked awful. I mean, Taker looked winded after he was speared twice, and of course he did. He's 50 freaking years old. I don't care how good in shape you are at 50. You're not going to be a great wrestler anymore. It's done. And then with this pathetic chokeslam, the match was over. The match was -5 stars, -10 stars. It was terrible. The first minute was awesome until Goldberg got knocked out. But it was, after that, it's just one of those things. It does happen in wrestling. Doesn't matter if you're young or old. It can happen. The match can be a disaster. What pisses me off about it is that WWE is still relying on these, and I know it's Saudi Arabia, it's a different thing over there. And like even Triple H had a match, and once again he had the longest match on the card, almost 30 minutes with Randy Orton. I mean, yeah, Triple H lost to Randy, but it doesn't matter if he loses over there. The match doesn't mean anything. It's not going to affect anything. So good for Randy. Triple H hasn't beaten Randy Orton enough already, apparently. Ruined the WrestleMania 25 main event because Triple H had to win, even though it was Randy Orton's time. Well, we can't have a heel win in the main event of WrestleMania. That's what would have made it great. Memorable. And it really would have put Randy Orton over as a killer and an amazing WWE champion. He would have been the only heel, or the first one, sorry, since Triple H did it at WrestleMania 16 or 2000. The first one. You've done it before, you could do it again. But no, made more sense. People wanted to see Triple H win, right? And then, but they're relying on the same older guys, or just Brock Lesnar. What was that company that did that for years, and it was a major part of them going downhill? WCW? The company that WWE has spent a lot of money making documentaries about, criticizing them for how they relied on the older stars for way too long, being in the main events, taking all the money. Well, what are you guys doing? Because that's what this whole Saudi Arabia deal is about, money. Okay. I'm not saying I can blame them for that. It's a lot of money. But you obviously haven't made enough new stars. Granted, a lot of people don't want to go over there, which kudos to them. But you haven't made enough new stars that the Saudi Arabia people want to see, so they just want to see Triple H and Undertaker and Goldberg and Shawn Michaels and Kane. Because you haven't made any new stars, really. And I don't know the whole deal. I'm just talking out of my ass. But shouldn't that payout go to some of the newer talent? Because you know that the people on the undercard are not making the same amount of money as the people in the main event. That's not how it works. But these are the pay-per-views, the products that I don't care if it's only $9.99. This is what you're putting out, and even your pay-per-views in America have not been much better. WrestleMania 35 was really good. It was just way too fucking long, which personally I didn't mind, but it did ruin the main event. And then these other pay-per-views like Money in the Bank, not a terrible pay-per-view, but then Brock Lesnar comes out after all these guys bust their asses to win Money in the Bank. Okay. I mean, why make a new star? Why have someone like Ricochet win it? That's not exciting. That's not what the people want. People don't want to midget win Money in the Bank. It's a slap in the face to all the talent on your roster. Slap in the face to wrestling fans, and you probably are still sitting back and wondering why fans are just turning off the TV, turning off Raw, turning off SmackDown. Because it sucks. And get new writers. Or let the writers go buck wild. Changes have to be made now. Because the ratings are only getting worse. WWE's not going anywhere, and they're never going to close, and I don't want them to close. But thank God. Because New Japan was never going to be a big threat over here. I was hoping that they would, because they were running shows in America. But New Japan's New Japan. It's called New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's the WWE of Japan. And they're still amazing, and I love them to death. I love New Japan World so much. But AEW. The whole thing was great. The whole thing. But Dustin, Cody, made me remember why I love pro wrestling so much. That was a fucking pro wrestling match right there. That right there. Storytelling. Rivalry. Just the moves at the right times. The blood. The match was delicious. And the Young Bucks had an amazing tag team title match. And then the main event, which is the main reason I wanted to watch, I'll admit, Omega Jericho 2. Because their first match has become one of my all-time favorite matches ever. I love that match. And their second match, even though I don't think it was as good as the first one, was an amazing match with the right outcome. And then Jon Moxley debuts, blows the fucking roof off the building into pay-per-view. It was memorable. They hit, if you could hit like 3 home runs off of one pitch, that's what AEW Double or Nothing was. And there are detractors, there are people, I guess WWE fanboys, or just trolls, I don't know, like who were calling AEW a fucking t-shirt company because they hadn't had a show yet. Well, just wait. And guess what? This is their first show. And All In was a huge success. And I hate that I didn't get to see it, but I've watched it since. That was a great show. This was even better. And even though the 3 main event matches, yeah, they were the people who own the company. And I know a lot of people are pissed about that, like, ugh. But that's why people are watching. They're the most established stars. They still gave a lot of time to the undercard for them to shine. And I got to see a lot of new wrestlers I hadn't seen before and be impressed and know who they are. They're building new talent. Because eventually Cody, Young Bucks, and Omega, they're not going to be around anymore, at least in the ring. They want to build something that's going to last. This isn't just some little vanity project for them. I really do believe they're doing this because they want to make wrestling in America fun again. They want to set the wrestling world on fire, which they have. And I don't see how people don't get that, but I love it. And I love this match so much. I love the whole thing. And I hope that they destroy WWE. Now, what I mean by that is not close WWE down, which they're not going to do. But I do want them to make WWE suffer a little bit in the ratings and with money, because WWE has plenty of money, so them losing some money is not going to be a huge deal. But I want this to be competition. I don't care about another Monday Night War or Tuesday Night War or whatever it's going to be. I don't care about that. I don't want the Attitude Era again. I don't want the Monday Night Wars. I just want this to be what it could be, and so far it is. I cannot wait until fall. I want them to push WWE to do better. I want AEW to succeed. I want WWE to succeed. I want it to push them to write better, to focus on the wrestling. They can't do blood and crap like this. That's fine. Keep your program PG. You can still be entertaining, and you can still, I can't think of the fucking word. You can still push the boundaries. Disney does that. Their shit's PG. They still do stuff in their movies where it's like, ooh, it's a PG movie. Say PG. I don't care anymore. I haven't cared for a long time. But you can do so much better. And I thought this show, your reaction to this show would push you. And the product has been even worse. It's almost like you're trolling the wrestling world or your fans like, oh, you thought it was bad? Wait till you see this bullshit. You just don't care. You just think, no, this is what we want to do, and everyone they love it. We've got our fans who love this. I'm sure that's true. But the world has changed once again. And you're not evolving with it. And eventually, I'll just keep repeating myself. So, I'll end with this. I am so excited for this, and still so angry at WWE. Because it's insulting. And hopefully, they're going to be making some big changes soon. They have to. Because the ratings will only get worse. Make it better for the fans who hate your product. Make it better for the fans who even love your product. Because we all deserve better. And a lot of people were like, well, Vince needs to give it up. Vince needs to retire. Maybe that's true. Because it's starting to feel like, because he said that he will never stop running his company. He will die in the chair, in the gorilla position. Cool. Because your company will be dead along with you. If you want to destroy your own creation, go ahead. Because at least we'll have this. Or something else. And WWE will be remembered as, wow, remember all the great stuff WWE did? Man, I wish they could do that kind of stuff again. And you can. Easily. I mean so easily. Look at NXT. And it's to the point now, yeah, if you start doing what NXT's doing, NXT will no longer be as special as it is. But I don't really believe that. I still think NXT can stand out. And Raw and SmackDown will be better. Do better. Because you have all the talent in the world. You have the world is your oyster. You have everything you need to make the product better. So just do it. That actually made me feel a lot better. So, for anyone who cares, I am the wrestling fan. I may not be the best wrestling fan, but I am the finest. Let's hope they do better. And I can't wait for the fall. AEW.
Quiet on the set.